I don't buy new cars, I don't buy brand names. I go to Goodwill for my clothes. I like to save money, I like to find bargains. It's the life I chose. I throw nothing away, I'll find a use another day for all this junk I keep. My neighbors all hate me, they abuse and berate me, 'cause I like doing it cheap. Yeah, I like doing it cheap. Welcome to another episode of Doing It Cheap. How y'all doing? Woo. I just thought maybe while I was out here doing all this that I would give y'all a review on my most favorite chainsaw. Now, I have owned a lot of chainsaws. But this one right here is my absolute favorite I have ever owned. It is a Stihl MS180C. MS180C. And what I like about this thing is everything. It's not too heavy. And for an old man like me, that's important. I ain't as young as I used to be. My back gives me trouble every now and then if I overdo it. And I'm not in the tree cutting business. And I needed a saw just for me. Not one to lend out. And not one to go cut firewood, necessarily. But one just for around the house, around the farm. Anybody that's got trees, or anybody that does anything outside just about needs a chainsaw. And I've had so many of them Pollock chainsaws, them lime green ones. Y'all know the ones I'm talking about, them Pollocks. Not at all pleased with those. I've never had one of them that I could use 2 seasons in a row. And I make sure to drain the gas and everything out of them. But they're just, maybe I'm just having bad luck. Maybe you love a Poland. I do not at all. Now I've had this little saw here for about right at 5 years now. And it's got some features on it that I had never heard of before. This thing has what's called easy start. And I was talking to a factory representative at our local farmers co-op where they sell these Stihls. And by the way, they must be good if farmers co-op sells them. And every co-op I see has Stihl chainsaws. But he said that this little model here, MS180C, has what's called spring assisted start. So you know how when you're pulling on something and it's got full compression, you know how it's bump, 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 bump. You know, you feel it pull? This one's very smooth. He said it's spring assisted. How it works, I do not know. I've not tore into it to look at it because this sumbitch works perfect. And I've never had to do anything to this thing except put gas and oil in it. That's it. An occasional chain. But what this thing is you just, because it's spring loaded, it's just, oh. I'm not used to starting it in front of my face. Anyway, it's just a real easy start. I guess that's why they call it easy start. And something else I learned about Stihl, I don't know if this is true with the other manufacturers or not. I've never talked to a factory representative from any other one, like Craftsman. The Idaho Hillbilly's got a nice Craftsman saw. And but I've never spoken to a factory rep from any other chainsaw manufacturer. But with the Stihl, you can reverse the bar. You know, if your bar starts throwing a chain because it's getting sloppy and wore out, you can turn that bar over and get that much more life out of it again. Well, I've had it for 4 or 5 years, and every now and then the chain is wanting to jump, so after this long, I've turned the bar over. And man, it's just like a new one. I haven't had that trouble. And this little model here, what I really like about it, I'm sure those of you that have a Polock know that you got them 2 nuts right there that you got to loosen up with your spark plug wrench, and then take a screwdriver and tighten your chain, or tighten up your bar and all that. This thing right here, check this out. This folds out, you undo it like that, and you have just loosened the bar. Now, I'm going to back this chain off to show you, simulate. Okay, you're out there in the woods, your chain has gotten loose on you, right here. You tighten it up with that right there, cinch it down right here, and you're good to go. This is so convenient. I love this. And I actually, I'm not telling you to do this, but I've been out there right in the middle of a dadgum job, and I notice that chain's real loose. Shoot, while it's sitting there idling, I'll back that sucker off and give it a little nudge there and tighten her back down with it running. And I mean, you just can't get no more convenient than this thing. I like it because it's not too heavy, but I can reach up and cut a limb over my head with it and still control it pretty good. Of course, it's got the anti-kickback bar on it. But I've always been hesitant about buying these expensive things like this. Always try to do it cheap. But this is proved to end up being cheaper by buying this Stihl than 3 or 4 of them daggum Polacks. This is not a real expensive saw. And this particular model, now it uses a chain different than all the rest of them. This one uses a very narrow chain. And you don't take a full chunk of wood out. The links are sort of sitting at an angle. Now they've got this model in this size in 2 other models. One is it's like $600, but it's super lightweight. It's for you tree people. Guy's got it clipped on his belt. He's up there in the bucket, you know, and he reaches up there and get a limb. They got that model, and then they got this with a little bit heavier chain, you know. But I really like this saw. It does what it's designed to do, and that's all. Now, like I said, you can't go out there logging with it. That's not what it's for. But if you're like me, you're just needing a good chainsaw that by God you want it to start when you need it. This one does it. But now, I do run mine plumb out of gas. I don't ever put it away with gasoline in it. Nowadays, this dad-blame ethanol's got everything screwed up. These little 2-cycle carburetors and fuel lines and all that don't like that ethanol. So I hope this has helped you if you're in the market for a chainsaw, or if you were looking at this particular model and trying to decide whether or not it would do you. Let me show you what I've been doing with it. Whew. Lord, it's starting to warm up. It's going to be almost 90 degrees here this week. First of all, let me point out to you. Out here, you can sort of see where the grass is green and where it's not. And you look up, that's how far these limbs came out. That's what all these are right here, by the way. And if you look over here, you see I've got quite a bit of space. It's about 25 feet across here. And I have really opened up, it's almost like a park under here. I've really opened up a lot of space by cutting these limbs back. So that's what all that is, and I'm in the process of burning a bunch of them now. Feller come and cut the hay yesterday morning, and I can't wait. I can't drag it out there and burn it because he's still got to bale his hay, and hell, I don't want a big old fire no way. So I'm just taking care of it in that burn barrel for now. That's all I'm going to burn up at the present time. I've got tomato plants and cucumbers and stuff back there that need to get in the ground. But anyway, this is what I've been doing with that little saw, and it does the job now. I am very pleased with it. It'll do whatever you need to do with it. And I have cut big old 15-inch logs with it. I've had to just take my time. But that's not what it's made for. It's made for basically what I've been doing here is cutting these limbs and, you know, doing a lot of trim work. And like I said, it's done all this right here. Lord, I've got it all cut down way back in yonder, all the way to that fence row. I've got limbs cut down. And I was using my shredder. I like that thing. But this is eastern red cedar, and it's hard as a dadgum rock. And I had a pretty good pile then, but that's all that's left of it. I mean, that mulcher, it'll flat chip you some wood now. But I figured, hell with it, I'm just gonna burn it. I ain't got time to fool with this right here because, you know, you gotta keep it trimmed down. You gotta trim these limbs. You can't just throw a big old thing in there. It's got to be no bigger round than 3 inches and a bunch of other stuff. Anyhow, whew, I think it's about time for a beer. And I got to put some more wood on the fire. So, if you get in the market for a skill saw, a Stihl chainsaw, you check out that Stihl. It's a good one. And now then, if you've been keeping up, you know that I've been doing a riddle. So on my last video, I threw a riddle out there at you. I said, there were 30 cows in the field and 28 chickens. How many didn't? The answer is 10. There't not 28 as in the number 8, E-I-G-H-T. There's 28, A-T-E, 28 chickens. And that left 10. That's how many didn't. My daughter pulled that on me. I never did get it. She had to tell me the answer. But there were 30 cows in the field and 28 chickens. How many didn't? And the answer is 10. All right, so my next riddle for you, let's see if you can get this one. My next riddle for you, and I'll give you the answer in the next video, is a young man and his father, a boy and his father, are in a terrible automobile accident. And they are rushed to two different hospitals. The father goes to one hospital, he's got major crap wrong with him, and the boy is sent to another hospital. So while daddy is in surgery, the boy gets wheeled into the operating room, and the surgeon comes in and says, "Oh, I can't operate on him, that's my son." Who was the surgeon? I'll give you the answer on the next video. Folks, have a wonderful day and a better tomorrow. Bye.